that Barbara Ann runs every year right up here at Brooks Field. And so she's going to give us the details of what's going on and where you can get something to drink and something to eat and what else you can do. Well, Barbara Ann, why don't you take over?
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. We are going into another year. It is the Remembery Walk. It's easy to remember because it's the word remember with a Y on it. And the reason for that name, a lot of people have asked, is because when my dad was in the throes of his Alzheimer's disease, sort of in the beginning, he'd point to his head with my kids and say, "This Remembery, it doesn't work anymore," combining the word remember and memory. So we thought it was fitting to use something that was directly from him and decided to call it the Remembery Walk. So it will be every year now on Mother's Day Saturday, which this year happens to be Saturday, May 10th. And it begins at Brooks Park at 11 with registration, but you can actually go online and register. It's another simple, www.rememberywalk.org. And on there we have a Facebook page as well. You can click and like the page. But on there you will see both the history of where the walk came from, that my son had started the walk back in 2006. And you'll see the kinds of things that we do with the money from the walk, and you'll see beautiful pictures that were taken at the walk with our huge archway that we have lots of people, including some folks from Harwich Police Department protecting us, going out onto the road for the walk. The walk is what they call a 6K, which is 3.8 miles. Now, I know some of you at home are going, "Oh my God, I can't walk 3.8 miles." And the great thing about the bike path is you don't have to. You can walk 1,000 feet and come back if that's what you can do. You can use a walker and walk 100 feet and come back. The bike path enables us to go as far or as little as you want to, but we set up a course so that you go to Route 39, we cross over that, we get to Depot, we turn around and do the exact same thing in return. So it's a nice loop. Easy access, I guess is the best way to put it. And we do have protection along the way. We have police and fire. The police are in front and in back of the walk, and fire is at the 39 crossover. So it's always a safe walk as well. Knock on wood, we've never had anybody injured or dehydrated or any of the things that can happen when you do walks or runs. And basically, over the years, we've tried to build the walk to be more like a family fun day. My family and I had been to a number of different walks, whether it be for heart disease or Alzheimer's or you fill in the blank. And the takeaway was always, here's our money, we've gotten some friends and family to donate, you turn in your envelope, you do your walk, you come back, and it's bye-bye now. And I just always felt this kind of letdown, I guess is the best way to put it. And I thought, we worked pretty hard to get this money, and the least you could do is like clap or cheer us on or something. So what we have added to our walk are massage therapists. We have a wonderful, huge raffle with very, very generous people from Harwich, Brewster, Chatham, and Orleans, and some in Dennis. Businesses that have donated a gift card or an item here and there. We have our wonderful friend from Harwich Police Department, Donna Tavano, who does free face painting, which is always fun for kids. And when I say kids, we actually had a few older people who had their faces painted last year. So I have to correct myself and say that it's not just for kids. Okay. Anyone can have their face painted. And the raffles, of course, have great prizes. We have live music every year. And this year, we are in the works right now with a fabulous band that I heard in February called Reaching Minimum Wage, kind of a unique, interesting name.
It is.
Of students at different high schools. And they play a huge variety, 7 or 8 different instruments, from saxophone to trumpet to trombone, you name it. And they play jazz music as well as rock and roll music. And they only played one song in this concert that we went to because it was kind of like a battle of the bands. That's all you needed to hear. This song, I couldn't believe when I looked up onto the stage at the age of these kids. You would have thought they had been 30 or 40 years doing this music. They were just unbelievable. So I'm hoping that it is in the works. We're just trying to make sure that the date works for them and that everything will work out. And they will be in Brooks Park in the gazebo. So when you get to Brooks Park, you can get your massage, you can register if you haven't done so online. And then as you're going through things in the park that are there for you to do, you'll also hear their great music. And then upon return from the walk, you can finish, if you haven't gotten a raffle ticket yet, get one then. If you haven't gotten a massage yet, get one then. And you can finish all those fun things to do, and then they will finish out with another set of music. And we have our infamous X Grill that off-air Paul and I were laughing about, with hot dogs and hamburgers and usually chips and water and that kind of thing for all of the people who have walked and their families. So a lot of people will say to me, Barbara Ann, where does the money go? Because like us, we don't want our money going off CAPE, we don't want it going to salaries, you don't want it going to overhead. And so basically what we have decided is not only do the funds stay local, but they go for things that your insurance does not pay for or only partially pays for, that families cannot afford. We found out about a horrific story a year ago with a family that just didn't have the money for disposable briefs, undergarments, and they were taking them and turning them inside out, Paul.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, if you think about what those look like, if you've had children, think about a regular brief or diaper. What do they have on the outside? Plastic, right? So they were turning them inside out and using plastic on a private area of a person, and that's just not okay. It's not okay ever. And so, not faulting the person or family for doing that, they were trying to do best by their loved one, but just didn't know where to reach out to. So we purchased a case of undergarments for that particular family, and a case goes a fairly long way. But that's what we're here for. It may be broken dentures or broken eyeglasses. This year we helped a few families with adult daycare with transportation to it, as well as tuition for it 1 day a week. And that's kind of a win-win, because in addition to helping the family, it's also helping to keep people employed at the adult day center, that they have enough clients, because if they don't, obviously they close. And that's happened in a couple of towns. The adult day centers haven't always sadly survived. So we're very happy to do that with this kind of money. We've also done a psychological eval and are in the works of potentially doing another one. What does that mean? It means that a person who has the signs of memory loss and dementia is evaluated by a psychiatrist who says, yes, this is what we believe that the person has, this is where they should be living or not living, and these are the medicines that they should be taking or not taking. In some rare cases, what people think is dementia may turn out to be a severe vitamin B12 deficiency, mimics much of the same symptoms.
Wow.
So the psych eval full workup will eliminate or rule in what's going on with that patient. And they're very expensive. Some insurances, if you have fabulous insurance, covers part of them, but a lot of insurances don't cover any of it. So the families don't have the money to fork over $500, $600, $800 for one sitting with a physician for a few hours. So we're happy to do something like that. What we won't do are things like respite care, where we have our partners in Hyannis, Hope Health, that does do respite care. We don't want to duplicate services that are already in place, because then you're just both spinning your wheels doing the same thing, and it doesn't, I don't want to take away from them. We want to be able to have them do the things that we can't afford to do, and we do the very practical things that they don't. So both obviously very important. Respite care if you need it, and you want to go away, for example, for a wedding or something like that, and you have a patient with dementia in your family, or it might be your spouse, it's something that you may not be able to travel with that person, so they will come and set up respite for you if you qualify for their services. So certainly we will refer to people like that when we have those kinds of requests. But for the most part, the requests that we get are what you and I would say are very simple kind of everyday items that people should not have to go without. I think the hardest thing, people will say to me, why do you keep doing this? year after year. Why don't, your dad's gone, why don't you just, help somebody else or go somewhere else or do something else? And I think that the biggest answer to that for me is not only does it keep his memory alive, and certainly it helps people with Alzheimer's and their families, but the other thing is when we get there, after about the first 15 or 20 minutes, you see people literally running with their arms open like this, like you're about to see a little child come up into your arms, towards each other. And the first year that we did this, I was sort of taken aback because I wasn't sure what that was all about. They're friends that every year this is where they meet to see each other. And they may not see each other the rest of that year. But the one thing that they have in common that they're running towards each other for is a loved one who either currently has or that they have buried who had Alzheimer's disease. And for me, it doesn't get any better than that. People are happy, they're laughing. At least if we can give them an hour to an hour and a half of joy being with each other and having that, commonality of Alzheimer's disease with each other, I don't think it gets any better than that. The hardest part for me is that people will say, what do you take away? How does this help, with the memory of your dad? The difficult thing with this disease is they call it the long goodbye for a reason. It is, in his case, 10 years, his mother's case, 15 years. It is certainly a long goodbye. And the hardest thing, I think, is I still to this day, and we're in 2014 now, and he died in 2006, I have a difficult time sometimes remembering, quote, my dad or the daddy that I grew up with, the patient or the person that wasn't a patient, that didn't have Alzheimer's. Those memories are hard to yank back in because we spent so many years taking care of him and working with him with his disease. Those are the memories that kind of settle in, that we have with my kids with him as a patient and my siblings with him as a patient, and even my mother for a short time with him as a patient. So to kind of push those out and try and bring back the beautiful, fun memories of us growing up with him as a father who didn't have the disease are hard to pull in. And I think whether it's your spouse or whether it's your dad or your mom or a sister or whatever, I think that's hard for anybody to do. And so this walk helps us to get together and be able to have that in common and talk with each other about that. Not like a support group, but laughing about silly things that you did when you were younger. And then some of those memories do start to come back for all of us. So I think that's the positive that comes from a negative that happens with everybody. And if you talk to anybody at the walk who's lost somebody, almost everyone says that same negative thing. I can't remember them before the disease. Because most of the time, it's not 1 year. It's not like cancer where it might be a year or two, or other diseases that take a person in a year or two. It's usually a very long period of time. So that's the negative, but this walk makes things very positive. And again, if you go to the www.rememberywalk.org, you'll see those beautiful faces and smiling people that are having fun at this walk for a very sad disease and a very sad cause. So I think that's about it. You will see some pictures in the background that Jamie has been kind enough to filter in. We have, as I said, the beautiful archway that we start under. So even if you've never been to us before, when you come down Oak Street on May 10th, you can't miss this archway. It's huge. And we all start underneath it, have our picture taken. We have a Star-Spangled Banner that's sung under the flagpole. We take a picture with all of the participants under the flagpole, and then Harwich Police leads us off. So I would urge you, I know not everybody can walk this, but that is not any excuse to not be at Brooks Park. Between the music and the massages and the raffles, you can come and just sit and enjoy yourself and people watch. And if you can walk, we would love to have you. If you are not already part of a team, you can be part of Harwich COA team, just a number of seniors that are going to walk together. If you have a team, maybe invite some new people to it that you've met this year. The more numbers of people we have, the more money we raise and the more people we help. So we're reaching out early. Again, it's May 10th, and we begin at 11 o'clock. We would love to have you register online, just so that we don't have a huge crowd trying to all run to the registration table at 11. But if you don't use the computer or work online, you certainly can come and register at 11. I think that's about